I'm Josh from Vacuums R Us and Sewing 2 in Arvada in Boulder, Colorado. Today we have a Simplicity Freedom here. The brushes on this are worn. The cool thing about this series of machines is when your brush strips wear down, you don't have to replace the entire roller. You can replace just the brush strips, which is great. This is also going to apply to Ricar's super lights, the R10, the R10S, the R10, R10D, the R10P, and the R17 as well. And in general, in theory, it's going to be somewhat applicable to many other types of metal brush rollers that are similar to this. So there's nuts on either end of this. They are 7/16. I have a nut driver, and I'll see if I can get it off by hand. I cannot, so I'm going to put this in a vise over here. Hold one end steady for me. If you have a socket set, that'll also work just fine. Whew, that one's tight. Again, this is 7/16. End cap will pop off for us now. And you only have to take one side off frequently. And I've got two screws on either side that I'll need to take off. On this particular one, I noticed that there is some thread that's wrapped around here between the bearing and the end cap. So I am going to take off the other end of this too, so I can get that thread off while I'm at it. There we go. Doesn't look like it damaged the bearing. It just somehow managed to wrap around there. These machines are pretty well designed. The metal brush roll makes a big difference in longevity. Makes a difference in performance too. I think you can spin the brushes a little bit faster without having to worry about melting them. So we see pretty high performance out of Ricar's super light machines. They're super light machines. Ricar's super light machines have replaced the Simplicity Freedom series. They're essentially identical machines. There's been a few very slight modifications, but they're identical machines under Ricar's brand, under the R10 series. Okay, so that's back together. Okay, so we've got screws on either end holding these plastic end caps in. Pull those out. Something that can be really helpful when you're doing this, especially if you're doing it for the first time, is line all your stuff up on your bench exactly how you're taking it off, so that once you're done struggling and fighting with this thing, you can just get everything back on again easy enough. This sucker's on pretty tight. I'm gonna put this on the vise, but I'm gonna have to be really gentle because this is plastic. There we go. All right, so there's that end, and these will probably come out pretty easily. There we go. Pop out pretty easy. Sometimes they stick, you got to get pliers on them. All right, and I'll take the two screws out the other side. If I remember correctly, I believe these screws are actually longer because this is the side that has the, this is the belt side. And that one popped out easy enough. Let's see if we get those brushes out. Brushes came out easy. Cool. So getting the new brushes on is kind of a pain. If you look at the old brushes, you can see they've twisted over time and kind of molded to the brush roller. Your new brushes, if anything, are like this weird bend from the manufacturing process. So you kind of have to twist them while you put them on. Typically, your brush roller is going to have a buildup of crud on it, and this is going to make it harder to put your bristles on. So what I do, before I install new bristles is I'll wash it down with alcohol. I use just plain old rubbing alcohol. I try to use like 90%, 93% because it evaporates really fast. I don't have to worry about, you know, water getting in there and rust and stuff. It's a pretty good cleaner. Also, from a customer perspective, it makes the brush roll shiny and they can tell that we actually did something to their machine. So that'll be easier to get the bristles on now that we've cleaned that up. There's two size bristles. I don't remember which side goes on which. I usually end up having to match them up. There we go. So you've got ridges on the side and the metal clamps right here. The metal pieces go right into those ridges. Now I kind of twist these things as I push them on if you kind of fall off that metal and then dig into the side of that, you'll start digging up the plastic. So you want to be careful, kind of go slow, make sure you don't slide off. And that looks pretty good. And then we'll just push it the rest of the way on the side of the bench. And that one looks pretty good. The other side on. Again, I kind of twist it to form. If you're working in a workshop that's cold, it makes this a lot harder. So if you want to heat these up a little bit with a heat gun, that helps. Put them in hot water. I don't know about hot water actually, because you will get water inside of these, they'll rust, but I have put them on top of a heater before to heat them up a little bit. That'd make it a little bit easier. But the combination of cleaning the brush roll first with isopropyl alcohol and then kind of getting that twist as you're putting them on, well, look at that one going right on. That makes them a lot easier to get on. So I have actually forgotten now which side which pulley goes on. So I'm gonna check real quick with my base plate. Okay, that's right. The short side has your belt pulley on it. And this ridge right here, this is called a sock guard. Theoretically, it will keep large, it'll stop large like towels and shirts from going into there. It doesn't. All right, so we'll put that back on. Wiggle that around, it'll get in there eventually. There it goes. Touch down a little bit. There we go. And this will make a world of difference for this customer. They had probably about 35%, maybe 30% brush wear on this. On these ultralight machines, and this even counts for Oryx actually, so much of the performance of these machines comes simply from the action of the brush. And once your bristles are worn, you will like immediately see a significant decrease in performance on these machines. These have little notches in them. You can only put them on one way, so you can't mess this up. Well, I don't know, this is YouTube. One of y'all out there is gonna find a way to mess that up. Don't blame me, I already gave you the disclaimer. Did I give you the disclaimer? Here's the disclaimer. If you're not a authorized, certified Recurve Simplicity technician, dealer, whatever, then don't try this at home if you're not comfortable with it. I'm not liable if you mess your vacuum cleaner out. There you go. You want a hand roll to make sure that you've got good motion after you put this together, because you kind of clamped it in. Make sure you've got good spin. And you can see about how freely that's spinning. It's not, on these metal brush rollers, you do have some resistance. It's not gonna spin like 10 times, but it's also not gonna stop right there. So that's the kind of spin I'm looking for. And that's it. This customer's gonna think they had a new vacuum cleaner after this brush replacement.